Hello, I've got a very quick video for you today. I had a request from somebody about how do you make tiles where the wall is on the floor for sort of internal bits of a dungeon. Now, there will be a tile generator in MakeTile which will do this without you having to do the process which I'm going to show you now, but that's a little bit way down the line. So this is how you can do that right now with MakeTile, and it's fairly easy. Okay, so I'm going to start off by just deleting my default cube. Then in the MakeTile menu, I'm going to create a rectangular floor, and I want this to be 2 by 1 inch. I'm going to keep it as its, ordinary height, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to change the native subdivisions from 15 to 8, and then I'm going to click on Make Tile. Right, so the changing of the native subdivisions, if I select the top of the tile and tab into edit mode, the number of native subdivisions is basically, how many times the tile is subdivided. If I'd left that at the default, which was 15, then my tile would have looked like this. Ooh. And when you came to make it 3D, the sort of the resolution across the tile will be slightly wrong, and you might get a little bit of distortion. So it's always a good idea just to make sure that basically the subdivisions are squares and that there's, a density which is roughly like that. Okay, right, so I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to come up here and I am going to create a straight wall. And then I'm going to change a couple of the options. So first of all, I'm going to select the size of my base, or the height of my base, which is that. And I'm going to select no base. So this will create a wall tile which doesn't have a base. And then I'm going to change the tile size. So the tile size along the z-axis, so the height of the tile, is going to be 2 minus the height of an open lock base. Okay, and then I'm just going to change this tile size to 2. Now in MakeTile follows the sort of the open lock system, and with the open lock system the bases are slightly smaller than the wall tiles, and that means that when you create a dungeon, just because of you're printing stuff in the physical world, if you have the floor tiles exactly the same size as the wall tiles, when you put everything together it doesn't quite fit. So normally the walls are a little bit bigger than the floors, but I just want them to be the same size in this case. Right, so now everything is set up how we want it. So I'm just going to make our tile, and you can see that this has created a tile which doesn't have a base. Okay, so I'm just going to go into side mode, and I'm going to just position this so it's in the center. I'm not going to do this completely precisely, but that's about right. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I don't want the sockets to be in the wrong place. So I'm going to select the core of the tile. Now if I press G to move it, you'll see it won't move. That's because by default MakeTile locks objects which aren't the base of tiles, and it does that so that you don't accidentally sort of select something and move it so that you break your tile. But we can unlock that easily, so you just go up to item in the end menu and unlock the location of the tile. So now if I move it up, you'll see that I can move that as you would do normally. So I'm just going to go into side view, make sure that's pretty much in the right place. Okay, right, you can see that we've lost our top pegs while doing that. So the top pegs are now inside the tile. So if you do want to retain the top pegs, what you need to do is you need to come over here, make sure you've got view layer selected in the outliner, come up here and select this little screen icon, and then we're just going to search for peg and top peg straight wall, put that on, and then if I go into X-ray mode, you can see we've got this little sort of object which is being displayed as the bounds. So if I just grab that, move it up, our pegs will reappear. That's probably about the right height there. So now we have our wall on floor tile, and I'm just going to select this and I'm going to go make 3D, select my base, switch that over to floor tiles, make 3D. Okay, let's just bump up the subdivision slightly. Okay, right, I'm just going to select objects in the two tiles, and I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go to Object Converter, and I'm going to click Flatten Selected Tiles. This takes a moment, and what this is doing is it's applying all the modifiers and stuff. So the modifiers are what's cutting the sockets and cutting the sockets in the base and making the pegs and stuff, and it's just going to apply all those modifiers, and it's going to turn these two into ordinary objects. So these will no longer, you can't make these 3D, you can't return them to preview, anything like that. And that's the limitation with doing it this way, and that's why I will create a tile generator, so you can, you know, create your random variants without having to like make a load of tiles first. Anyway, right, so those two are now ordinary objects, so I just want to join them together. So I'm just going to select them both, and I'm going to press Control and J, which will join them. You can also come up here and click on Join. And now what I want to do is I want to export them as an object. So I'm just going to change my voxelize settings to 0.0025 just to get a bit more resolution. And I'm going to come down here to export. I'm going to turn off randomize, turn on decimate, fixed non-manifold. If you don't have fixed non-manifold showing, that's because you don't have the 3D print toolkit add-on installed, which is included with Blender. You just install that in the usual way, edit preferences, add-ons. I'm just going to export the active object rather than exporting a tile, because I'm just exporting a single object. It will come with this pop-up. So I'm just going to call that, save that one, wall on floor. Overwrite that. This will take a little while because I've turned the voxelization up quite high. There we go. I'm just going to show you that this has worked. File STL, where are we? MakeTile, just importing the exported objects. And you can see it's now been scaled up, so it's in inches, so when you bring this into your slicer it will be the right size. But there you go. So that's how you create a wall on floor type tile, an S tile in OpenLock terms. It's dead easy, but it does have a couple of limitations at the moment. And as I say, I will create a tile generator which will do this, but I want to do the roofs, the first set of roofs first. Okay, right, so that's everything for today, and if you've got any questions or comments, just leave them below the video. Okay, bye for now.